My decision is this a pool of liquidity or is it a sweep? We've already established that a pool of liquidity is profit taking. A sweep on liquidity is a new position. So when I saw the value coming into the cash open and it was sell side, and it was just going to be a driver into this liquidity. We don't know what's going to happen there. That's called fair value. So the sell trade initially, very definitely a fair value sell. And if you could get into that relatively punctual, you could have possibly have made money on the quick first short. The buy reversal seems to be quite fair as well. But then I'm now looking at this from the seller's point of view. The value seems quite good, but then starts peeling off. And when it starts to peel off, I'm now watching these little pins here for liquidity, because now I'm thinking about this as a liquidity sweep price. I'm now looking at this as a probable sell side opportunity. Now I've got to find that sell side opportunity. What am I going to do in that area? I'm going to start looking for a Charlie. I want to find a Charlie, right? Everybody wants to find a Charlie. Does anybody find a Charlie? Sure. Let's take a look and see if you can spot where Charlie is. It's not exactly difficult to see Charlie, is it? Instead of where's Wally, we obviously understand that we're looking now for Charlie. Where's Charlie? Can anybody see Charlie? Anybody see Charlie? There's my liquidity, 150, right? So I've got to try and see Charlie at 150. So if I can see Charlie at 150, there he is there. There's the buyers. There's the buyers. And there's the Charlie right there, right? So I've got to now take part. I've got to now try and join in with this as a bit of business. 145 sell side. Well, 145 sell side, guys, on this chart here is that price right there. So that's your sell trade right there. And that's your profit. It's nearly $2,000 of beautifulness. $2,000 of beautifulness, nearly $2,000 of crazy good sell side profits on the sweep lower. And it's only just about recognizing that I had a reason to sell it. Then I saw Charlie and then I sold it. It should be relatively straightforward for anybody to recognize that that is a thing, because we covered that exact trade setup yesterday. If you look at it on the S&P, you'll see very similar type things. There's a Charlie trade there. Now, this is just before the cash open. So you're obviously now looking at it from the point of view of what happens next. Well, there's the unfinished auction there, right? So there's your unfinished auction, seller coming in. There's your exhaustion, sell side imbalance coming in. So you're now looking at that and saying, right, get me short, 5201s. Well, 5201s on the S&P also makes you some nice money. Pretty good trade, right? Pretty good trade. You're using that exact setup that we showed you yesterday, and you're making money. Making lots of money. Just use the stuff we teach, and you could get away from, chasing your tail on these. Look for the setup. Look for the reason for the setup. Find the reason. Get your trade in, and then look for that. So you're looking for this red candle with an unfinished auction seller, suggesting that there's an aggressive seller at the top, an exhaustion print, another unfinished auction, an imbalance, and now you've got your short sell into place. You're now looking to get that short sell away from that price, and you make your monies. That could be your only trade of the day if you wanted to. You've made your first trade of the day. It's a good time to make a trade. It's a good time to get that business done. I'm hoping a few of you got it done. I'm hoping a few of you saw that as an opportunity to get that short sell into the books. When we go through the other elements, obviously inflation is very much in focus, because today was an inflation day, of course, coming out of Canada. We also had the other bits and pieces coming in from BOJ, etc. So a lot of what we're talking about today is going to be inflation based. There's going to be a lot of information about interest rates today, and obviously it's up to us to just keep up to date with what we're seeing. I like the sell side storyline. In terms of the components, I think the components have been pretty much on point. They've not been bullish, they've not been bearish, they simply have been fair. If we look at the components, you can see that they are pretty much fair for the entire move. There's nothing really that stands out as a real value trade. The only things it could have been a buy trade there, But on the other side of that, you could have been looking at these as possible sell trades there for the press. And obviously, since then, you can see that there was a little sell in this pullback here that seemed to make a bit of sense as well. And getting that sell back into that pullback is looking pretty good. And you might say, but why is this not a sell? And if that's a sell, why is this not a sell? Explain to me. Please, explain to me, guys. If that's a sell originally, why is this not a sell? Why is this not a sell if that was a sell? I'm assuming everybody knows why. Yeah? Nobody knows why. This is a sell because this is just a bottom line. This can't be a sell because that's a level 2 buyer. So if we know that a level 2 buyer just came in, there's no level 2 buyer here, is there? There's no evidence of any level 2 buying at that stage. If this is a level 2 buyer, we can't just sell this blue candle here. Now, it still might be a sell. The value is still definitely bearish. But the point is, when you're trading back to a level 2 buyer, you've got to acknowledge there's a level 2 buyer there. And it's quite a strong buyer that came in there as well. Very small candles down, very big candle up. So you know that if you're going to sell that, it's got to be at a higher price. You're not going to sell it at a lower price. You're going to make sure you insist on that higher print before you do any business. And by doing that, of course, you've been able to save yourself from short selling this and then getting stopped out there. It doesn't mean it's not a sell. It means it's not a sell on this blue candle here. That's not a sell. It can't be a sell because it's a level 2 buy. This is not a level 2 buy. So this is absolutely, definitely a sell. Makes a lot of sense now, doesn't it? It's simple to spot, very easy to recognize, but this is just going back to your basic charting process. That is a level 2 buyer, and that's it. That's all it is. When we look at gamma to see if it's very slippy at the bottom edge, we can recognize that looking at gamma, which will come up eventually, it's not that slippy. It was slippy by the looks of it initially here, and then it started to get sticky in here. So we're already now recognizing who it is that's buying into this area. It's the options buyers. It's the option traders. They don't think it's that slippy at this price anymore. So because they don't think it's slippy at this price, it explains the level 2 buy that came in. It explains that in its entirety. And it's very, very straightforward. All you're doing is going through the various elements that you try and use to figure out whether markets are buys or sells into liquidity pools. By drawing this line as a liquidity pool, you're also recognizing it as a possible what? Well, this could also be a decision that you're trying to make, but it could also be a level 2 buyer. So with the gamma line starting to go up, this could be a sweep. Not just a pool of liquidity down here. This could be a sweep. And when it goes into that as a sweep, you're now recognizing the possibility that that genuinely was a sweep, and therefore that this is actually quite bullish. Again, it's just about doing that extra little bit of work that allows you to make that decision in the background at that price. By simply looking at one line and hoping for the best that you've got all the bases covered simply is not going to cut it. You've got to do a lot more than that. And if it doesn't stack up, what do? If it doesn't stack up, you leave it alone. You just leave it alone. The storyline doesn't agree. You leave it alone for somebody else to make a mistake with. You don't get party to a bad trade. Stay away from it. Wait for the lines to agree with each other. Figure it out, and then take advantage of what you see next. I don't see any storyline worthy of my considerations at this point.